Welcome to Tudo Tuga, the Everything Portuguese Soccer podcast. I'm Kevin Jesus. That's Christian Frere, Mitch Frere. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. You are likely watching on YouTube, but hey, welcome to all of our people listening on Spotify. That's right, Tudo Tuga, the Everything Portuguese Soccer podcast is now available on Spotify, so you can take a listen whenever you would like and have some fun. So, it's pretty exciting to see us kind of growing this little fun podcast by the fans for the fans. How are you guys feeling today?
Awesome. How about you?
No, doing good. It's a good day of soccer. So it's been a busy few days, that's for sure. So why don't we get started? Liga Portugal in full swing. We're now into week 3. But before we kind of get to that, let's just backtrack a little bit to week 2, where the first big matchup of the season happened. It was Sporting taking on Braga. And, I thought it was going to be a draw. So when we get to our panel picks, you'll see that I'm no longer perfect, but that's okay. I need to allow you guys to get back into this. But no, Sporting, they did really well. They ended up getting the win against Braga. What'd you guys think?
Yeah, I thought it was a dominant performance up until the red card. We looked, smooth. We played well. We were on top of them the whole game. Jovan with the beautiful header. It was an underrated how hard that header was to score. Potts, another. I'm not even going to go into this podcast before you start bugging me there, but yeah, another beautiful goal.
I'll throw it in there. Amazing finish.
Yes.
Right? Amazing. I thought it was a little weak on Mateus's part, the keeper, but it was a very well placed shot.
Yes, and then Reis, he damaged the team a lot with the red card. The first yellow was questionable because he just threw the ball up and he got a yellow card for that. Second one, you can't question. It was a second yellow. But he was only on for 10 minutes and boom, out. Yeah. And then, they made it nervous for us right at the end there. But I don't know if you caught this, Mitch. After Sporting scored the second goal, there was a huge scrap with the fans that went on.
With the fans?
Yes,
no, I didn't see that. Yeah,
there was a huge fan. They wanted to underreport it a little bit because of the cartão that they want to implement. But yeah, there was a huge fight.
Yeah. But I thought Braga was missing Ricardo Horta. He fish falta.
Yeah.
They were missing him big time. That's a big player in a big game like that. I think Braga really, really missed Ricardo Horta in that game.
And if you guys forgot, he picked Braga to win 2-0. So how did that go for you, bud?
Hey man, you know what? I gotta try and get some of these results that nobody else is gonna pick. That's the only way I'm gonna win this thing.
I know,
but at the same time, Mitch, we need you to do well because in some ways I want you to win the panel picks just to force Christian to wear a Benfica jersey. So
honestly, Kevin, I don't want to cut you off there. I think he secretly wants to put the Sporting jersey on.
Oh well, hey, there you go. We have plenty of those kicking around. Hey, how about Porto, guys? They're doing pretty well, as we can see here in the standings. They're currently sitting in third spot, or tied for first anyways, with 6 points through 2 games, 4 goals for, 1 goal against. But big news this week, signing Wendell up to till 2025, 28-year-old left back from Brazil, formerly played with Bayer Leverkusen. What are your thoughts on this signing? I mean, it seems like it's a pretty good move by Porto. I mean, Sergio Conceição's got to be pretty happy.
Yeah, this one strikes a nerve because Benfica was going after Wendell as well. We needed a left back really badly, and we were after him. I don't know if you guys seen this, but Benfica even went out and got a jersey done up with Wendell's daughter's name, Vitória, and gave it to him. I mean, Benfica was pulling out all the stops to try to sign this guy, and Porto ended up getting him. I felt like we needed him a little bit more than Porto did, but whatever. It is what it is. He's a very good player. It sucks to see him at Porto. If you want to talk about Porto a little bit, their game against Famalicão, it's a lot of drama in that game, man.
I agree. Do you think them getting him had something to do, adding on to what you're saying, with that Zaidu mistake that Famalicão tied, but they took it away from him?
Yeah, I mean, I think they were looking at Wendell before that game, but if anything, Zaidu, and if we know anything about Sérgio Conceição and the way he is as a coach, when a guy makes a mistake, he doesn't forgive, man.
So and he was losing it.
I don't know that
losing it already.
Zaidu is going to be seeing much playing time. For those of you who didn't see it, Zaidu gave the ball away at the end of the game. Famalicão ended up scoring a goal that was disallowed very controversially. I mean, whatever technology they have to deem whether or not they're offside or not, I still look at it and I don't think that goal was offside.
So what I think, I don't know if you knew this year, there's supposed to be a trial for error. They implemented this week, so there's not
margin of error.
Or margin of error, sorry.
So
there's not going to be those 2 millimeter offsides anymore. But now they just allowed a 20 millimeter or centimeter offside. And the thing with those, if you just move it half a second up, it changes if it's offside or not. Like if the moment they contacts the ball, if it's a second earlier or a second later, it changes everything. Yeah. So personally, not because I'm on the rival side, I thought that was a very, very bad call. I thought personally it was a goal. But what are you going to do?
Again, it's the technology that they have. We can't really argue it. But the fact of the matter is, Port did not impress me against Famalicão.
Yeah.
They did not impress me.
Okay, but does this signing then change things for them?
I don't know that it really changes a whole lot. I mean, he's a good player, but
I mean, they've been looking for a left back, a solid left back, and now they've got it.
Yeah. No, I mean, he's definitely good. I mean, does it rock their world and put them playing at a different level? I don't know. It remains to be seen, but.
If he was playing if Porto was playing a formation like Benfica and Sporting does, I think it would be huge impact because that wing back position with the 3 center backs is huge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's gonna make Porto better, but to completely change the dynamic, I don't think it's gonna do too
I mean,
much.
Manafá played in the left back position.
Yeah.
And he's usually a right back. And he did okay in the left back role.
Yeah.
João Maria, I talked about him last week. I was very impressed with him. He played another very good game at right back. So, I think they're gonna be okay. This Wendell guy is good.
Who's stepping it up though is that Tony Martinez.
Tony Martinez.
I don't think they're missing Marega much right now because he is on fire.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a good point. Tony Martinez came in from Famalicão, and a lot of expectations when he came in, but it was hard for him to really take Marega's spot. Yeah. So now that he is there, he's shining, man. He's done really, really well.
I agree. That was a huge. He's been a huge step up for Porto because last year he came off the bench. He scored some really big goals.
See, what's going on with Sergio Oliveira? Started on the bench, man.
Well, he hasn't come out really well this year. He hasn't looked as polished as he did last year for some reason. But he's definitely. I was very surprised
to see him. I mean, I thought maybe there's been some talks about him potentially going to Wolves, somewhere else.
You don't know what happens in the locker room because you know how Conceição is, man. He's a hothead. So maybe Sergio Oliveira. I'm just assuming at this point. Maybe wanted a move because he's getting a little bit older.
Yeah.
So maybe he did, and they had to blow up. Maybe his morale's down. You can only assume, but he definitely.
I was very surprised to see him on the bench. I mean, he's one of their biggest players
for sure.
So, guys, moving ahead to this week, in about 40 minutes, it'll be kickoff between Gil Vicente and Benfica. Pretty sure I read somewhere that Benfica hasn't started a year winning 5 straight games, and that's all games, meaningful games in a number of years. Maybe it's 10 years or something like that. I'm not sure.
It's actually 38 years. I couldn't.
Is it 38 years?
Yes,
38 years.
I couldn't believe
that's insane. So Gil Vicente, they haven't allowed a goal yet this year. Is this ripe for the picking? Is this an opportunity for Gil Vicente to do a little bit of an upset here? Or are we just kind of thinking this might be a draw? What are we kind of thinking here? Because the other thing to keep in mind is Benfica is also coming off a relatively boring win over PSV, but hey, they got the win in Champions League. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. But is Gil Vicente here? Is this a game we need to keep an eye on today?
Let you go.
It's going to be a very difficult game. Gil Vicente has looked very good this year. And because Benfica is still in between, Champions League qualification here, they're not going to be fielding, I think, their best 11. We've got depth, so it's not a huge issue. The question is, again, what does George Jesus go with in terms of a formation. He's been swapping between, the 3-5-2 and, a 4-4-2. So, it's going to be interesting. We've got a couple of injuries to deal with. Muratu came in against PSV. Actually had a really good game. I was very impressed. Brazilian center back, because Vertonghen's out. Ferro's also injured. So he came in really well. We got lots of depth, but Gil Vicent's going to be a good team. It'll be a good test for us. It'll be interesting to see again whether he goes with Yaremchuk or Gonçalo Ramos. I wasn't really super impressed with Yaremchuk against PSV, but he came in really, really well against El Roca. He scored a goal, had an assist, so it could be just taking some time to get settled in with the team.
I actually liked it on Chuck. He looks really good.
He looked good against Oroca, but then he went in, it's PSV, and he wasn't.
It's hard to
adjust
lost sometimes because he's new to the team, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And adding on what you're saying about Gil Vicente, I think in years past, Benfica might have had more trouble, but like you said, man, they have so much depth. Like,
we should not be struggling.
Yes, and we talked about it last week, man. Like, it's hard to pick an 11 for Benfica because there's so many good players, and that might actually, it's a good problem to have. Don't get me wrong, but it could also go against them.
But we talked about this last week. Benfica needs to have 2 go-to squads with Europe and everything, and they have enough depth to do that.
And I think if they do qualify, it will be more of a stationed 11. Mm-hmm. But since now they're concentrating so much on the Champions League, that's definitely priority for them.
Yeah. So, just taking a look here at the betting odds right now, and obviously Benfica is the favorite, but pretty good odds. If you're thinking that it could be a draw, for every dollar you put down, you're going to get 3 in return. So pretty decent odds there in your favor if you're thinking that Gil Vicente might be able to slow down Benfica here. But, something to keep in mind. By the way, they also have for goal scorers, if you think Seferovic is going to be the first goal scorer of the game, again, pretty good odds there. So something to keep in mind as you move forward. For those of you who like to play the odds, of course, this is by coolbet.com, which, by the way, single game betting is legal in Canada now. So this is all good. Obviously, you can tell it's something that I like to do.
Before we move on to Europe, I wanted to talk about Santa Clara Moreirense last week, 2-2, an absolutely crazy game. It saw 3 late goals, a goal, I think, in the 89th minute, 2 goals in the 90th minute. And there was a lot of drama behind this game, and I'll tell you guys why. Santa Clara, we talked about their issues with COVID, had basically 14 players that they could field for this game. And they wrote a letter to Moreirense to ask Moreirense to basically reschedule the game because of their issues with COVID. Moreirense responded and said no, because last year we had issues with COVID and we played the game, so no, we're not going to reschedule it. The controversy here is Moreirense, yes, did have issues with COVID on the 6th week. They asked, I can't remember who they were playing, but they asked to have the game rescheduled. They said no. They only had 17 players to field. The following week, they put in the same request and the team agreed. So that was the big controversy is, Moreirense did have to play 1 week with the COVID issue. The following week, the other team agreed. Now, I don't know how the league cannot step in and say, no, Moreirense, you guys have to, you have to reschedule. 14 players is not enough for a team to go in. So Santa Clara was super, super pissed about the fact that Moreirense didn't allow them to reschedule the game. So there was it was a pretty heated game. Also,
they have Europe competition,
and they have Europe
good for Portugal.
100%. So I was when I heard that, I was so pissed. I could not believe it. I could not. I'm like the biggest Moreirense non-supporter right now. I hope they lose every fucking game this season.
I know we talked about it in our group chat. We are so close to catching France for the 5th best league. Dude. We're like 20 points back, or point 2-0 points back. You'd think a team like Moreirense would want to support Santa Clara.
Not even support.
Not
but
support.
I mean,
not support. Maybe that's the wrong word, but they have a big game next week, which will help the league.
Man.
Yeah.
It's just good
But
sportsmanship.
to Mitch's point, that's where the league needs to step in
100%,
and take
100%.
ownership of that. Because, yeah, I mean, obviously other teams are in it for themselves. There's a lot of money at stake. You don't want to be relegated or anything like that. But at the same time, like the league, you have a league for a reason. They need to make these difficult decisions, and that's what they need to do. You talk about Europe, Santa Clara. I got to say, I was not expecting them to pull out a W against Partizan Belgrade, and they certainly did. Now, they're going to be in tough this week because going on the road there, they have I'm not sure what their COVID protocols are, but I'm sure they're going to allow fans. That's going to be very difficult. It's going to be a hostile environment. I think Santa Clara is in for a wake-up call. Passos Freire, wow, pulling out the W against Tottenham. Now, keep in mind, Tottenham fielded basically a B team. It certainly wasn't their starters, but nonetheless, good confidence booster for the this young Portuguese squad.
I agree. I think even Tottenham's C team is twice. They're getting paid 3-4 times more than Passos' whole team, right? So yeah, Lucas Silva with a great breakaway goal. I thought it was a massive goal for Passos Freire, one of the biggest in their history, going up against a team like Tottenham with the huge win, which is, again, we talked about it a little bit earlier, is huge for Portugal. Man, we're so close to France to pass them to be the 5th best league, which ironically is a league Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe's in. What a story that would be, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, honestly, I was cheering that Passos goal like it was sporting, man. It's really good for Portugal. I honestly really enjoyed that game.
Also good for. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Nuno Espírito Santo is under some heavy fire. People did not like the team that he fielded, and as excited as we all are, expect Tottenham to field a much better team, because that is not acceptable for a team like Tottenham, right?
But for Tottenham, though, the Conference League is a brand new league this year, and it's the 3rd tier of Europe. Okay, we're not talking Europa League. We're not talking Champions League, certainly. This is the 3rd tier. Do you care? Like if you're Tottenham, does it matter? Like, I don't know. For me, I'd rather be putting all my focus on, I mean, yeah, it's nice to be in Europe and all that stuff, but I'd rather be putting my focus on the English Premier League, the FA Cup, and trying to secure a spot in Champions League for next year. Conference League, you don't need that. You don't need that experience. You don't,
especially because it's not a super,
so prestigious.
It's lacking the prestige of a Champions League or Europa League.
I agree, but like, you don't also want to run Tottenham's name through the muck, right?
Doubt.
This is embarrassing, right? At the same time, yeah, it's their 2nd, 3rd team, which I'm not saying they should go and play like all their starters, but this is a game that they should, do a little bit better. Because, like I said, like I go on Instagram and everybody's making fun of Tottenham, and it's not good for their brand. I think, even though it is a 3rd tier league, I agree with you, Kevin. You also don't want to run Tottenham's name through the map.
Okay, but what's good for their brand is winning the Premier League or winning the FA Cup, and I would rather sacrifice and be embarrassed, maybe losing to Passos Freire in a 3rd tier European competition, but then a few months down the road doing much better. I mean, you have to weigh what the risk reward here and what's more important, which a couple episodes we talk about Benfica and how their main focus is Champions League, and so far they're looking pretty good. 2-1 win over PSV. They've got the second leg coming up here on Thursday. Again, Benfica, it's a tough start to the year for them, but so far so good, I would say.
Yeah, it's been a good start for them.
I agree. Rafa and Wego with 2 big goals. How about that Gappa? I think his name is Gappa goal for PSV. What a banger. I don't know if you had a chance to see that, Kevin. Wow. It's going to make for an interesting second leg. But yeah, the Benfica came out. They had a great first half. I think second half, they got pushed against the ropes a little bit. They look a little shaky. But, man, we're talking about a team that beat Ajax 4-0. They're no joke. They're a great team. So to pull that result, that was definitely huge for Benfica.
They did not look good in the second half. They
Yeah,
lost
at
the
all.
plot. They were disorganized. They were all over the map, missing passes, giving balls away. I mean, they should have come in the second half and put that game to bed.
For sure.
Letting PSV get that goal, it was not good.
I agree.
I did not like like I said, I didn't like your Mchuk in that game. Gonçalo Ramos came on. He didn't really do a whole lot better. I think we're really missing Seferovic right now. We just sold Luka Waldschmidt. I read it this morning. He's going back to Wolfsburg. So we're losing someone up front. But at the same time, I'm not super concerned because we've got Vinicius, we've got Seferovic. I think we've got the depth, enough depth to make up for losing Waldschmidt. But yeah, a good first half, second half, not so good. We're going to have to really be on our game if we're going to win the second leg.
Usually a 2-1 first leg is a little shaky.
For sure,
but now
100%.
There's no away goals this year.
That's right.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Which is huge. So a win's a win, even if they do end up winning 1-0 in regular time, then we'll go to extra time, whereas years past, PSV would have went through. So I think that would benefit Benfica a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, honestly, that second leg is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
So then, of course, Thursday and Friday will be the group stage draws in Champions League and Europa League. So we'll be keeping a close eye on there. We'd love to see, obviously, the matchups, and I'm sure that'll be a good debate for us next week when we do the next episode here. But, you talk a little bit about depth, and, depth is a good problem to have. It's certainly a thing that a lot of people have, and that's what Fernando Santos is going to have to be dealing with as Portugal gets ready to name its squad for 2 World Cup qualifiers and a friendly against Qatar. This is kind of a big deal here because time's running out in World Cup qualifying, which is hard to believe. We're just over a year away from the start of the games in Qatar, and Portugal right now tied for first with Serbia with 7 points. Realistically, this first set of games, Portugal should be doing pretty good. It's Republic of Ireland, Azerbaijan, and they got the friendly against Qatar. So before we even get to the games, let's talk about the roster itself. What are you guys thinking? Who deserves a shot there? I'm going to throw one name out right away, João Mario. He's in form. Bring him up. What do you guys think?
About João Mario getting called up? Honestly, I don't. People think I hate him. I don't. I'm more against the narrative that last year he won the league with Sporting. Won the league, was one of our pillars. Nobody talked about him. They're like, João Mario is washed up. He played 3 games for Benfica, 3 games, and now he's the best.
Yeah, but you got to look who he's playing for.
Yeah,
he's playing for a big team now.
Oh God.
Right?
The third biggest team in Portugal last year. Let's go,
man. The biggest team in Portugal. I mean, makes a difference playing for Benfica versus playing for Sporting, right, Christian?
Man. Yeah, that was my only beef with it. In terms of him being a quality player, I said that since the beginning. He's a great player, but yeah, that was my beef with the whole situation.
Listen, at the end of the day, we've got Renato Sanches that's injured. He's not going to be able to get called up. João Felix is injured. So there's 2 players right there that are normally shoo-ins to get called up. Is there a chance for João Mario to slot in? Absolutely. Does he deserve it? Yeah, I think he does. I think he deserved it even before. All jokes aside, he had a very good season last year. Had he been called up last season over William, if somebody would ask me, you're going to take William or João Mario all day.
I agree with you, Mitch, and that's my point. I'm not talking about him as a player. I know how he is as a player.
Yeah.
He's been there for multiple seasons with us. I know he's quality. He's very experienced. Euro Cup winner. He's a great ball mover. He's good with the 1-2s. He makes your team a lot better. I'm not going to sit here and give you a 26-man roster because we can bring all those players there. But my issue is them playing. Yeah. Like we talked about it a lot before with their starting 11 playing like William and Danilo and leaving a lot of quality on the bench. Yeah. Coming into these qualification games, I want to see a new look Portugal. Mm-hmm. The Portugal that was in the Euro was unacceptable. I'd like to see a new look, young energy come in because we have a lot of great players. I don't know what you think.
Hold on a second. Unacceptable? Maybe in the that game against Germany, but that game against Belgium, I mean, hey, if they're fielding that lineup and playing the way they did against Belgium, hey, they're gonna do extremely well. So I don't know if I would use the term unacceptable. Yes, do they need to make some changes? Sure, absolutely. But unacceptable, man, that squad against Belgium and the way they played, that was pretty darn good.
I agree, but we had to go 1-0 down at half to field those players.
Well,
it's a little bit late, in my opinion.
Yeah, it needs to be.
We got to get rid of that. I'm sorry to cut you off, but we have to go in there with not a defensive mentality and scared of the other team. They got to respect us.
Yeah, no, Fernando Santos, I think he's had, better part of 2 months to really sit back and analyze what happened at the Euro, what worked, what didn't. All we can hope is that the man has enough football IQ to sit back and realize he needs to make some changes and start to try to get the most out of the team that he's got. I've got a couple of players I'd like to see, one of which is Ricardo Horta. I think Ricardo Horta he's been a big player in the Portuguese league for many years. I think he's starting to reach his peak. And, if any of you saw the game yesterday, he came off the bench. We talked about him missing in action against Sporting, a huge loss for Braga, but he came in yesterday off the bench. Obviously, he wasn't still 100% fit if he didn't start, but he came off the bench and scored a screamer yesterday to give Braga the win 3-2. So, I think he's a big player, and I think he deserves to be called up to the Seleção right now, especially when we've got guys like Neto, João Felix, who are injured and who would normally be kind of shoe-in call-ups. I think giving a guy like Ricardo Horta a chance to come in it's the right time.
Honestly, Mitch, I love that you said that. Just because he's playing for Braga, I think it's handcuffing him a little bit. But yeah, like me watching him as a player, so much quality, and he's really growing into his own this year. He's captain of Braga, such an important player, and I think he's going to help us. I just wanted to add on one more other player. I don't think he will start, but Mateus Nunes, he was actually man of the match last game. He was been in Portugal since he was 8 years old. His mom's Portuguese and his dad's Brazilian. He came out and said, whoever calls him out first, Brazil or Portugal, that's the national team he's going to play for.
Yeah.
And he's a great player. I'm not saying he should be a shoe-in. I don't think so. But, does he deserve to be one of the 26 guys? You can argue that he deserves it. So
does it make it a little bit easier in the sense that having the friendly against Qatar, does that give Fernando Santos a little bit of room where he has that ability to try out some players that maybe aren't your traditional national team players and so forth? And I mean, I don't want to downplay Azerbaijan, but let's face it, it's pretty much the free space on the bingo card 9 times out of 10. The Republic of Ireland is going to be their most difficult game, if, realistically, and they should be able to beat them. But given what we're seeing here in these 3 games, does Fernando Santos have a little bit of wiggle room to be a little creative and maybe come up with a bit of surprises for his roster?
Yeah, I think so. And I know Mitch brought this up a lot, when we're doing the Portugal preview. I think this would be a great chance to see how Portugal looks without Cristiano Ronaldo. I think this would be a great opportunity. Because he's getting older now. He doesn't need to play against Qatar and Azerbaijan, in my opinion. I know he's chasing that record.
And I don't think he's in form either right now.
Yeah. I think it'll be a great chance to see other players step in.
Absolutely.
Okay, so fair enough. But I'm going to throw this out there. If Fernando Santos doesn't choose Cristiano Ronaldo, or let's say he picks him but doesn't play him because, like you said, he's not in form or whatever. And let's say Portugal loses to the Republic of Ireland and draws against Azerbaijan. Like, worst case scenario here. This next podcast, you guys will be like, Fora, Fernando Santos, you're out of here. Come on.
Because you know what? I personally think as a Seleção, we play better without Ronaldo. So there's no reason not starting Ronaldo. Why, with 11 players outside of Ronaldo, we can't easily have results against these teams. I mean, what are we talking about?
Yeah, honestly, I'd play him against Republic of Ireland. I was just saying more of the Qatar friendly or Azerbaijan.
Mm-hmm.
That's where me and Mitch disagree. We're not going to agree on everything here, and that wouldn't make for a good podcast. But I think last Euro, him winning the Golden Boot shows how he's still important. I don't think
absolutely.
I don't think to take him out of the roster after he wins the Golden Boot would be fair to him. And I don't agree with it. I still think he's one of the greatest players in the world. But that should, other players need to step up. There should be somebody clawing right behind him to be the next.
But here's what I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying. Right now, Ronaldo took 3-month vacation. He came back like a couple weeks before Juventus' first game. He got subbed off at the 50th or 60th minute, the last game for Juve. He's not in form right now. At the end of the day, there's other players, I think, who are in form, and these are not games that we cannot win without Ronaldo. These are not those.
We want to make life easy for ourselves, too, because, I mean, again, it's only the top 2 teams. Right, your top team is qualifying for automatically. The second place team goes into a playoff. So, I mean, Portugal's always done it the hard way. So why not just solidify it now, and then maybe, in one of the later stages you can figure it out. But at the same time, we talk about Cristiano Ronaldo. Hey, yesterday, August 20th, was the 18th anniversary of Cristiano Ronaldo's very first game with the national team. He was 18 years old. It was a 1-0 win over Kazakhstan. And you talk about passing the torch. That game, 18-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo was subbed on for Luis Figo. So that was kind of the beginning of the whole passing of the torch stuff. So maybe you are right. Maybe there is some sort of poetic justice here, 18 years later.
I mean, it's not the first time our Seleção has not called up Ronaldo for games. I mean, there was a couple of Nations Leagues games, I think, last year that we didn't call him up. He's been injured, and the team does very well. So I don't think we're reliant on Ronaldo to get the results. We beat Croatia 4-0 without him. And we played, arguably one of the best games we've seen this generation play.
You see this picture right here? Cristiano Ronaldo is telling you to call it.
I agree with him. Another player I would like to see, I don't know if you've seen these statistics, in the last 13 games. I might have these stats reversed. I think it's 14 games, 13 goals, or 13 games, 14 goals. Andre Silva has been on a tear. He actually scored for Red Bull his first goal. It was a penalty shot, but that's another player I'd like to see implemented more international.
He should have.
I am not sitting here saying that Cristiano Ronaldo is not a good player, that he shouldn't. He doesn't have a room on this list. So all I'm saying is we need to start prepping for a post-Ronaldo era for our Seleção. And in games like this, where we're playing a little bit of weaker sides, Ronaldo's not in peak form. Give some other players a chance.
Yeah. All jokes aside,
we need to start getting a team ready that knows how to play without Ronaldo on the field. And these games, I feel, at this point in the season right now, are the perfect games to do it.
Yeah, all jokes aside, that's what I was saying earlier. Against Azerbaijan or Qatar would be a good time to see how we look without him.
Yeah.
But obviously going against Republic of Ireland, he's a shoe-in. Sure.
So, are we expecting a full 6 points out of the World Cup qualifiers against the Republic of Ireland and Azerbaijan?
100%.
If not, if that doesn't kick out Fernando Santos, I don't know what.
Then that's a whole other debate. So, I brought up that picture of Cristiano Ronaldo here, and let me just pull it back up. So, there's been a lot of talk with Cristiano Ronaldo, some transfer discussion about where he might go. He still has 12 months left on his contract. There were some rumors. So here's his Instagram page, and he goes, anyone who knows me is aware of how focused I am on my work. Less talk, more action. This has been my guiding motto since the start of my career. However, in view of everything that's been said and written recently, I have to set out my position. More than the disrespect for me as a man and as a player, the frivolous way that my future is covered in the media is disrespectful to all the clubs involved in these rumors, as well as to their players and staff. So he goes on and on and on. He talks forever or whatever. Basically, he was unhappy about being linked to Real Madrid. There was a lot of talk there. Just today, Massimiliano Allegri, ahead of their game against Udinese tomorrow, said, Ronaldo told me he is staying. So does that put the end of all the transfer talk? Is this Ronaldo's last year with Juventus? What do you guys think?
I think when you're a player like Ronaldo coming into his last year in his contract, I think it could still happen. Well, do I think it's going to happen? No, but yeah, I think he's gonna stay one more year. But there's been a lot of talks because of Messi going to PSG.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's going to help Messi. And then you know how they have that rivalry together. That's going to help him being on a really competitive team that can win the Champions League. I'm sure he's thinking about that a lot. That's why he was linked with City. But yeah, do I think he's going to leave? Probably not. Can he leave? Of course.
Yeah, I think this is a little dramatic. Ronaldo sometimes better off just not saying anything.
Well, he's never met a microphone he doesn't like, right?
He doesn't squash the rumors. Squashing the rumors, if he really cared about people not talking shit and rumors, come out and say, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying at Juventus. Leave me alone. No, he says, I'm concentrated on my work and I'm focused. All the rest is just talk. So what does that mean? Are you going? Are you staying? If anything, you've just made people even more suspicious about whether you're going to stay or go. Sometimes
but it's good for people like us because it gives us something to talk about.
I mean, at the end of the day, what he's going to do, I think he's going to stay Juve. Where's he going to go at this point in the season? He's not going anywhere. He's going to stay at Juve after his contract's up.
Come back to Sporting because
he's either he's gonna do something. I mean, I don't see him going back to Sporting. I'll be really honest with you.
You see him going to Benfica?
No. He's gonna go. He's likely gonna end up at PSG or back at Man
MLS?
United, potentially MLS.
There was rumors that for his brand, going to the US would be the best because he has hotels and he can brand his name a lot more. But knowing him, how competitive he is, he will not leave Europe until Messi, retires or also goes to MLS. It's going to be a constant battle. Their whole.
But that being said, what do you think his season is going to be like this year at Juve?
Honestly, this is just me speculating, obviously. Knowing him, following him for 18, 19 years, I know, like you said, right now, he likes the spotlight on him, right? So now all the spotlight's on Messi, and knowing how he is,
that's going to fuel him.
It's going to fuel him. It's like with Michael Jordan. I don't know if you watched that documentary. He was looking for fuel. Yeah. Somebody would say the smallest thing, and he would take it, and it would fuel him. I think Ronaldo's a lot like that. Right now, he's getting fueled. Everything's on Messi, PSG. Yada, yada, yada. I think he's going to have a great season.
So maybe that
could be wrong, but that's my assumption. I think
so. Maybe that helps him then for World Cup because he just saw Messi win Copa America. So maybe that'll fuel him to try and help lead Portugal to a World Cup in Qatar because, man, oh, man, we sure need it. Hey, guys, it's time for the panel picks. Let's go.
Hands up, then we gonna drop.
All right, boys, time for the panel picks, the Tudo Tuga panel picks. And last week, not too bad. Christian went 4-1. Mitch, you went 3-2. I went 3-2 as well. Obviously, the big changes there were Sporting. Christian picked Sporting to beat Braga. Mitch, of course, picked Braga. That was a dumb pick. I went with a draw. That was more realistic.
No risk, no reward,
boys. You're right.
Did you learn anything, Kevin? Don't ever go against your team.
Don't go against my team. That's right. Hey, Passos Freire and Boavista, we were all wrong there. Boavista got the win there. So that's how that's shaping up. So Christian, so far in the lead at 8-1. I'm in second, and Mitch looks like you'll be wearing a Sporting jersey pretty soon. So let's talk about this week's games. We'll start off Marítimo versus Porto. Normally, I would say everyone was going to be going with Porto. Mitch, why'd you go with the draw?
They're going to Madeira, and I didn't like what I saw at Porto against Famalicão, and going to Madeira, it's going to be a different game. So I'm gonna pick a draw.
Yeah,
Okay.
honestly, going on that, people might look at this and be like, "Oh, Porto's the shoe-in," but going to the islands, playing in Marítimo, I don't know what it is, but when Marítimo plays at home, they're literally twice as good when they're at home. So I agree with that pick. I got to lean towards Porto because they have a big game week 5. They can't afford to lose points. That's why I picked Porto, but I do respect that draw pick for you.
Champions League, second leg, Benfica, PSV. We all went different. I'm going with a draw. I just think Benfica, they just have a tendency to play some very boring style of soccer, and I think they're just going to just sit back and aim for that draw. So that's where I'm going with it. Mitch, we already know that you're biased. Christian, why are you going with PSV?
I'm going with PSV because what I've seen in that second half, they looked, they were on fire. They're at home. All they need is that one goal, go to extra time. Anything can happen. But from what I've seen in that second half, I think PSV can go through. That's why I picked them.
Okay. Tottenham, Passos Freire. We're all going with Tottenham. We talked a little bit about that already, how we think that they'll probably jazz it up a little bit. Plus, I mean, they should win that even with a B or C team. But the interesting one here, Santa Clara versus Partizan. I think it's going to be Partizan easily. I think it's going to be a very hostile environment. But Mitch, you've got your love for your Surianch.
Hey, man. Just means the mage, man. Santa Clara.
They have the same symbol as them almost, though.
I'm a big fan of Santa Clara this year. I just, especially with everything that they've been through, they've got. I think they're back up to 17 eligible players right now, but they lost Costinha in the game against Moreirense. He was operated on, but I mean, it's like a Cinderella story, man. It's like these guys. I think they're super motivated. They've got a really good coach. I think they're going to.
Could I just add on to that, Kevin? I don't know. I think we forgot to mention this. They lost Carlos Jr. recently.
Yes. Yeah.
Their top goal scorer of all time, I believe, in Santa Clara.
Mm-hmm.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I thought I heard that he was the top goal scorer of all time.
I think he is.
But he was a huge player for them and quality player. I think he was in most of our fantasy teams. I think that could be a huge loss for them.
And our fifth game of the week, Serie A getting started. Juventus taking on Udinese. We all think that Cristiano Ronaldo and Juve will pull out the W, I would suppose, eh?
Yes. Adding on to what we were saying earlier, I think Ronaldo's going to come out really fiery. I think and then after the season they had last year, I think they want to be the biggest team in Italy again. I think they're going to come out strong.
Yeah, Juve needs a big year.
Yeah. Sagi-Star of the week, and just because we were just talking about them, Mitch, why don't you fill us in on who you think was the shining star of the week?
Yeah, it's Sagi-Stars of the week, Santa Clara. I mean, again, I've talked about it. This team with what they've gone through, and the limited amount of players that they've had, and to see the results that they're getting on the European stage. You can't say enough about these guys. If you watch the game against Moreirense, just the garra and the heart that these guys were playing with, it's a really nice thing to see a team come together and just playing the way that they are. So they're my Sagi-Stars of the week.
All right, and what about you, Christian?
My Sagi-Star of the week is Pedro. I'm just joking. Bruno Fernandes.
Like this.
Bruno Fernandes. Honestly, I don't think there's a player that does not deserve this more than him, man. He deserves this. There is no other Portuguese player or anybody in the Portuguese league that I've seen that deserved that more than Bruno Fernandes. He came out, scored a hat trick, had a huge game. Honestly, I think the only reason why he's not a captain is because he's not from England. He motivates the team. He pushes the team forward.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was huge, especially after a horrible Euro that he had to his standards. I think coming out with that hat trick in the opening game was massive. That's why.
So you make a good point. I really hope that he steps it up here in these World Cup qualifiers and really proves why that he can get the job done here, because we certainly need his help. I'm going with Diego Jota. Scored a big goal for Liverpool again today off a header. He's pretty solid. What else is there to say? And I think that he's a big part of Liverpool's arsenal, and just such an exciting player to watch. I love this kid. He's fantastic.
2 players that had bad Euros came out
For
with
sure.
a great start this year, which I think is important for Portugal.
Absolutely, especially going into these qualifiers.
Yes.
All right, boys. That wraps up another podcast. That was a lot of fun. Again, this was our we're on Spotify finally, so that's a lot of fun. Of course, you're watching us on YouTube. Don't forget to send us any of your questions, comments, concerns, whatever you want to talk about. We can get some of those questions as well. Drop us a line on Instagram, Twitter, again, and YouTube and Spotify, all that stuff. Text us if you want, if you know us, whatever. Just have some fun. This is a lot of fun. We really enjoy doing this. We are going to have a very busy show next week as we're talking about Fernando Santos roster. We're talking about the group stage draws for Champions League. Of course, we got the Liga Portugal. So much to talk about, so little time. I love it, but it's always a fun time. So Christian, Mitch, I'm Kevin. Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. So have a good one, guys.
Ciao, guys.
Ciao.